Welcome back to Frederick Advice Givers. I am Eric Verdi, and to my right this week, our featured interview is Kim Grove, a muse and adventure seeker, right? Is that what we're calling you?
Yeah, I think so.
A muse and adventure seeker. I love it. All right, so Kim and I, we have some mutual friends, Ryan Diner being one of them, with Holistic Health. Ryan's actually been on here, the podcast twice. I love what he's doing. His office is about, I don't know, half a mile that way?
Yeah.
Kim, in a prior life, worked with Ryan. Correct.
Yeah.
And about 6 months ago, she set out on this journey for freedom, for adventure seeking, to find out what life's about. And I love following her. We're Facebook friends. It's the first time we've actually met, which is really cool. I love doing that with our interviewees, as I kind of get to learn as you're learning. So Kim, thank you and welcome to Frederick Advice Givers.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm super stoked to have you. So I gave you a brief intro. So for our listeners, viewers that might not know you, tell us about yourself. Where did you grow up? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? Stuff like that. Your backstory.
So I grew up in West Virginia, and I still live there. I live in Harpers Ferry. So Frederick's like a short jaunt. It's about 30 minutes. And backstory,
Where did you grow up? Married, kids, dog?
Solo, and I'm very intentional about language. You'll probably notice throughout this and in general if you start following. So I'm solo, no kid. Well, I have a kid. It's a dog.
Okay.
Peter's like the love of my life. And I.
Where do you grow up? Where do you go to school?
I grew up in Hedgesville, so I went to school in Hedgesville, West Virginia.
College?
And then I went to college at Virginia Tech.
Really? What did you study?
Art. So I went to an engineering school for an art degree. I went to an out-of-state school at a time when there was a free scholarship for in-state tuition if you had, certain marks. So kind of an interesting story that I chose that. But
so are your parents still in the West Virginia area?
Yep, my folks are nearby. They live in Falling Waters. They're in West Virginia.
Okay.
And I have a sister.
Awesome. So why, I know you do a lot in and around Frederick, and did you come back to the area for your family? Is that why you came back in for work?
For my family and for work. So after I graduated, I spent about a year still down in Virginia. I'd served with AmeriCorps for 2 years.
Okay.
And then I came back for a job that I thought that I would be at for a big, long time and to just be closer to my family. Yeah.
Okay. Before we go into where you are now, let's step back a moment and tell us about because you were with Ryan for a while, right? You want to speak on that and how that relationship evolved, and how you started and how Holistic Health and what you did there? Yeah,
sure. So kind of continuing what I was describing, I came back from Virginia for a job. I worked for an outdoor, like a whitewater rafting company in Harpers Ferry.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
My professional career is like 10 years here and 10 years there and a little bit in between, but I basically came back to be the GM at this outfitter, and within like a year or so I realized that wasn't going to be my place, and so I left in 2008, which if you recall was a terrible time for our economy, and I thought, all right girl, you got some experience and a degree, you're going to find a job, and did not find a job in the time that I thought I would. I mean, I was working at a farm for like $4 an hour at a certain point just to like make it happen until I found something. And then actually, a Holistic Health Associates had a front desk position posted on Craigslist, and I responded. And the funny little backstory to this is, which I've never told, I've told like my closest friends, but here we are.
Awesome.
I missed the fucking interview.
Okay.
So like, I had the interview set up, and I was at that damn farm making $4 an hour, and I'm super like organized in general and not late, and like that's who I identify as.
Right.
And I was at the farm, and I got this phone call, and they're like, "We had you down for a 3 o'clock interview," and I was like, "Shit." And this was a job that I was kind of actually excited about because I was applying for stuff that I wasn't really into. But I was like, health, like I don't know a lot about acupuncture, alternative medicine, but I think I'm a healthy lifestyle person. So that's the funny story. I missed it, and I called back, and I was like, look, this is really not me. I'm really sorry. Would you let me come in? And they scheduled me again, and I really hit it off with the person who was interviewing. We became close friends after that. And so yeah, I was hired as front desk, but my background was always in management, and they, I think after seeing my experience, and they actually had a projection for the person who was office manager then to leave. So I started as front desk, but then
awesome.
started doing a lot of other things.
And you were there for 10 years?
I left
roughly?
on my 9th anniversary, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And love having the bell tower in the background.
Yeah, there we go.
Awesome. So, Kim, what hobby or interest could you spend hours doing? What,
Right now
rafting?
is writing
Really?
and hiking.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do these challenges and I commit myself to 30 days of whatever it is.
Okay.
And most recently, I found myself doing the most time writing and hiking.
All right, tell me, I need to dive in a little
Yeah.
right now. Tell me about your most recent challenge. Like, what was it?
The
To
last
get
one-
healthy, to run, to
Yeah.
run a marathon? What was your last 30-day challenge? Because I love that premise.
My last 30-day challenge was 30 days of learning.
Okay.
So when I do my challenges, I think about what I want to focus on, and then I set up like my parameters for what I'm going to do, like my requirements. And so I set it was the biggest one I've ever done, and I set it to be 4 hours of learning every day.
Okay.
And I spent that time reading books, listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts. And then I had a little bit of a specific intention around trying to like up-level myself around marketing. I have a lot of marketing experience, but I really just wanted to like dive in and get
Cool.
some, updated information. So it was wild.
So were there other people going through the challenge with you?
So this was the first time I invited people to it's not the first time. I've invited people casually to do it with me, but
Okay.
so I had a couple people join in this time, but I always do it myself. It's not like someone posted and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like I just set it up and it's my own expectations.
Right.
But it's not just alone because I share. My other intention is to share about it in an authentic way, and so I require myself to post every day some
Right.
like contemplation about it.
Awesome. So Kim, what is the last purchase that you splurged on for yourself or your family?
My biggest splurge was signing up for Tony Robbins' Mastery University program.
You did that. Has it started yet?
So the Mastery University is like several programs and you buy all of them.
I'm familiar.
Okay, so
Okay.
I financed that when I shouldn't have been financing it at some stupid rate, but it was like the biggest investment I had made in myself since maybe ever. I mean, as far as like
Right.
monetary value.
Tony Robbins is phenomenal. I mean, he's the cream of the crop. I'll be interested to see how the Mastery program works for you
Yeah.
because I mean, he's a great motivational speaker. He's great at diving in and figuring out your why and finding that inside fire that burns inside of you, right?
Yeah, I've never had a person that I've identified as like a influence in that way, and
Right.
he's definitely that for me, for sure.
Awesome. So Kim, being a muse, entrepreneur, adventure seeker, what is that drive inside of you that when you wake up in the morning, not having a 9-to-5 job, you could literally wake up and do nothing all day and you don't have to account to anybody. What's that drive inside of you that keeps you going, keeps you moving forward?
So part of my journey when I made this shift in my life, meaning decided to leave Holistic Health Associates, I didn't know my why. But I knew that wasn't it anymore, and that I had spent more than half my life energizing for someone else's dream, which was great, and that served me at the time, but whatever happened inside me, it was not anymore. And so I've been figuring out my why, and I orient most strongly right now around authenticity, sharing, and growth. And so when I wake up in the morning, my mission is just to grow, to learn, and then to share, because I believe when we do that, we help each other grow. So it's all about growth for me right now.
Yes, but there was a pivotal moment in there, right? And so, you took a big leap. So what was the driving factor? Was it was it to learn more? Was it to grow? Was it to explore? That's a big leap going from holistic health to being an adventure seeker, a muse, where you don't have steady income. It takes balls. Frankly, it takes balls. What was that? Was it progressive? Was it something that we woke up one morning like, man, I can't do this anymore. I'm halfway through my life or a quarter way through my life or however old you are. I have no idea how old you are, and I need more. So,
well, I had thought that HHA was going to be my forever job. I really did, and one of the reasons was because I had found someone that allowed me like creative autonomy and ownership that allowed me to basically run a business as if it was my business. Like clearly there was collaboration, but I was able to do it in the way that was me. And that meant Ryan's a visionary and I'm like a strategy, and so that worked really well in a lot of ways, and at times it was very challenging. And so at a certain point we were out of alignment for a long period of time, and we just understood that I didn't feel like I was able to energy for the vision the way that I had previously been connected to it. And that's how I relate around my business now, is like I think it seems kind of unconventional when you're with a potential lead to say, this is a mutual interview. Like,
right.
My energy is not for hire unless I truly believe in what you're doing. And I do believe in what Ryan is doing at HHA. But our way of getting there had become out of line, so
Gotcha.
I wasn't able to stay in my integrity and be there.
So you weren't in alignment anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So have you read Rocket Fuel then?
No, but I'm like adding to my stack of books.
So Rocket Fuel speaks in companies like there was Steve Jobs and Wozniak. Like Wozniak was the behind the scenes, the integrator, the I's and T's person, and then Steve Jobs was the visionary.
Yeah.
Like every large successful company has a visionary and they have an integrator, and it sounds like you're the integrator. So you got to read Rocket Fuel.
I will.
It's a pretty cool alignment.
Thanks for adding that to my list.
So what advice or shortcut would you give somebody either just starting out in business or just starting out in the entrepreneurial world, or just starting out as a muse, free spirit, adventure seeker?
It's gonna sound cheesy, but just do it. Like really, just fucking do it.
Right.
Because all the stories we tell ourselves and all the fears, and I've been there. Trust me, it's not like I get to say that because I haven't felt that. But once you just do it, just keep compounding.
Right.
So you really just put one foot in front of the other, it happens. And I know that, I remember I heard that as I was like always questioning, like maybe I could get and do my own thing, but I wouldn't do it. And then one day you just do it, and it really does just
Well, there's
happen.
no 100% right time for anything.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely not.
You can always find an excuse. Mm-hmm. So on the flip side of that, now that you've been out for 7-8 months, mm-hmm. since August of last year, what's something you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with our audience that maybe could be a shortcut for somebody else? Or something that didn't work out like you initially thought it was going to?
Sure. So I keep going back to like making sure you're really in alignment with what you're giving your energy. Like your energy is your most valuable asset. So making sure that that's really going towards things that you believe in. And so, for example, I felt kind of silly or dumb in some ways when I did this. But for example, my second client, I actually, I started working with them. They flew me out to Colorado to run this event for them, and that was the first time I met them, and it felt great going through the whole interview process and stuff. And after the event, I was like, like I don't feel this the way that I should. So, and I'm learning about my intuition and about when and whether to trust it, because
right.
Intuition is kin to judgment, and so in my opinion, and so if you judge too quickly you could lose or misunderstand or any number of things. But in that experience I just chose quickly, so that meant that I had just gone out on my own, didn't have like any significant stream of income, and said no thanks to a stream of income. So and things continued to work out from there, and I believe that's because I was continuing to stay in my alignment. So my advice would be to check in about that. Don't take things because you need the money, or it's you're looking about, I don't know, like just you really have to be connected to it.
So speak more about this energy that you speak
energy?
of. Yeah.
Energy's a
so
big.
is it intuition? Is it like what delve farther into that explanation?
So when I say energy, like that's how I relate to what my service is.
Okay.
Like by service I mean paid or unpaid or whatever. Like the way I serve in the world is my energy, and so. But also the intuition part, is that what you're asking about? So
yeah. So like, I mean, are you like a rocks person that you get energy from rocks? Because
No.
I've had interviews with geologists and stuff like that, and I had an interview with a medium that has different energies. They have energies from other worlds.
Yeah.
Like, is that what you're speaking?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm
Okay.
talking about like cultivating my own energy through my challenges, my learning, through the relationships I have, through being in sync with my heart and soul, and even down to like a literal physiological sense, like biohacking my energy. Like,
Right.
I recently read Headstrong, and that book blew my mind. But yeah, that's what I mean by energy.
Okay.
It's not like a little universe energy, but not what you were just pointing
Gotcha.
to, which is a more conventionally understood form of energy.
Okay. So, Kim, in the last 3 years, what's a choice that's led you to where you are today, or a pivotal moment?
I would say the transition with HHA, like I've said a couple times now, like I really thought I was going to be there forever. And now, what are we, 8 months removed from it? Like, sometimes I can't even really relate to that life. I mean, I'm not that far removed from it, but it's kind of like, where have I been not
Right.
doing this whole time? Like, it's kind of wild.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the biggest pivot, because now I feel like I'm truly doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Awesome. So I have interviewed 177 other guests, entrepreneurs, business owners, thought leaders. I love learning about you. I love learning about all my guests. I take information from my guests and their answers, and I try to mold into my business and life. So I want to flip the script and have you ask me a question.
Since I have been on this big why journey, I would love to know like your deeper why. So I know about Frederick Advice Givers that you're, and add to my understanding, please. But my understanding is that you're trying to help other entrepreneurs and business owners get their story out, because story is like the biggest way that we are able to serve whatever our business product message is. But why? Like, why are you so passionate about that?
So I think it's just incredible to help other business owners, because what I do to make money is different than advice givers. Okay, it's totally different realm. About 7 years ago, 6.5 years ago, I kind of figured out if I added what I call consistent, compelling content to my audience, my core audience in my business, my income did very good. It increased, and went to a business partner friend and said, I want to help other business owners share their story. I'd like to write for them, because what I was doing at the time was writing. And he said, Ryan Fletcher said that it's going to take up way too much time. What we're going to do is start a podcast. And that's how Frederick Advice Givers was born, because I wanted to figure out a way to help others share their story, other business owners. And we've had iterations. At first we had a magazine, and then we didn't do the video, and we were just strictly on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, where we still are audio-wise. But then about a year and a half ago, right around episode 100, 110, we started adding the video component, because I saw where media was going. And Advice Givers in itself, I'm not going to deem a failure right now, because I do get to meet wonderful people like you, but it hasn't had the impact that I wanted it to have, because I don't have the consistent aspect of the content. I always talk about consistent, compelling content. I have you on one time, we do 3 different videos, we do the audio form, which is out there forever and is great. So we have compelling content. I don't have consistency with my audience member, with my guest, sharing their story. So it works, and it has a little blip, and then it kind of goes back down, and you maybe get a little blip over here. So that's why right now, the shirt, you alluded in the pre-interview about Story Architect, that's why I'm trying to help and teach other business owners how to share their story over multimedia, through the written word, through audio, through video. And that's why I put together Story Architect, to help them do that, so they can do it on their own. Now, I do love this. I love this. I love meeting new people. I would have never met you if I didn't have Frederick Advice Givers. So this part I love. It's sustainable to help other business owners grow and share their story.
Can I reflect back to you 2 things that I heard?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or experienced? One is something that I'm relating to around failure, which is failure is a sign of success, actually, because if you're failing faster or at all, like if you're not doing something. So you didn't say you're failing or that you had a negative association with it, but I feel like a lot of people do.
Right.
And I actually think failure is a sign that you're like doing the do, right?
Right.
And then the other thing I heard was you saying, you acknowledging some areas where you would like to improve for the story architect.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times when we are learning the thing that we need, and by learning the thing we need and teaching others, it's like, that's what, like, so you're doing the thing that you need, and that actually is propelling your growth.
That's 1,000% true, because I've got 6 members right now going through like a beta test of Story Architect of what I'm doing. And basically you talked about when I was very interested in your 30-day challenge, because I wanted to see who you were accountable to, right? And so with my beta group, I'm accountable to those 6 people. Like I could have put, like we talked about, you got to move forward. I could have pushed it out and pushed it out and pushed it out, but I set a date, January 1st, we're starting this beta group. On February 1st, we're starting our 21 days to publish, which in 21 days you can have a written newsletter that you write yourself, which was going back 6 years ago, which was the rocket fuel that propelled my business, was actually writing my own stories every month. So being accountable to somebody else was what propelled me to actually do something. And I'm fine tuning. And yes, I'm doing it for me as much as I'm doing it for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of
cool.
what.
That's what I'm doing too.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Can I ask you another quick question?
Absolutely.
Are you familiar with Gretchen Rubin's work, The 4 Tendencies?
No.
So she has this framework that basically says that we are all a type how we relate to expectations, both internal and external. And usually when you say the category, you can kind of tell what you are. So the 4 tendencies are, you're an upholder, an obliger, a questioner, or a rebel.
Okay.
What do you think you are? You can take the test later and we could tell everybody, but upholder kind of means that you uphold your expectations regardless of internal or external. Questioner means you won't do it unless you really understand and believe in it.
That's not that. No.
Rebel is probably obvious, and obliger is what is in Gretchen's framework is what most people are, which means that you need to be accountable to someone else.
I think I would definitely, maybe a little bit rebel, but probably more obliger.
Obliger and rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like being accountable to other people, and I like helping other people. And everything that I do. Everything that I do actually is serving other people. It's, in what I do, I help people with their largest financial investment. This I help, try to help as best I can other entrepreneurs and business owners. And then Impact Club right down here at the Blue Side, where we've donated over $220,000 to local charities. So that's
awesome.
Yeah, so probably more obliger, but a little bit of rebel. Like I wouldn't have done it. Like you have to have some sort of rebel in you to actually take the step forward, right?
Yeah, touche. You have to be a little bit of rebel to be an entrepreneur at all, right?
Right.
But I found that when I'm able to kind of orient in that
which
framework,
one are you?
I'm a questioner.
Really?
Like to a T. Like if I don't understand it, I don't do it.
Okay.
And that means I ask a lot of questions. Like, like exhaustively.
Well, I like the follow-up questions, just like this. I love it.
Right?
I love it. All right, we good?
Yeah.
Okay. So what failure or loss, Kim? And this could be, I've had guests, cry, and it can be very personal. It could be more superficial. It could be business. It could be financial. It could be emotional. What failure or loss has helped mold? And I know, probably you know this better than anybody. We're always kind of evolving, and we're always kind of making and molding going forward. But the person you are today, what failure or loss? Because you could have a loss tomorrow. What failure or loss has helped mold the person you are today?
So it's pretty recent, and it was a relationship. It was a failed relationship, and that relationship was, and when I say relationship, I use relationship pretty broadly. So to be clear, that was a partner, romantic, we were engaged relationship, and it was the hardest, most painful experience of my life. And when I went into that relationship, I had been growing in relationship, and by the time I met this person, who was actually a re-meet because we were high school sweethearts, it happened fast. And when I met him, I was in such a place that I was like, I'm ready to be an epic partner. Like, I know I can do this. I want to do it with this person. And so we were all in really fast. And I still haven't figured out why it didn't work, but it definitely was not working. And I learned so much about myself during that process. It was terrible and painful in so many things. But even in the midst of it, like when I was sobbing and like slamming doors and driving the car and whatever, like I was like, you're learning so much right now. Like if you didn't have this somewhat tragic experience, like you wouldn't be getting through all this stuff. So it like wrecked me in some ways. Like I posted recently this quote that says, I was losing myself until you lost me. And a lot of that language, there's a lot about that I actually don't agree with, but the truth is that it's like this country love song that I resonated with. And my landing thoughts when I was contemplating why was that sticking with you is that I gave so much of myself in that relationship that I felt like I was compromising who I was. And how do you know when to compromise, not to compromise? I mean, everything is always there is no really right or, I believe perspective, everything is perspective, and there's no right or wrong or good or bad. So that's a rabbit hole for another time. But that formed my life because I'm really passionate about relationship, and it's propelling me to learn and grow more around that because I believe it's such a big thing in our lives.
And when you speak relationships, you speak of any type of relationship. You know, and you and I spoke
about this
spoke in the pre-interview, you know, about love, and you said, you know, I'll frequently tell people I love them, and it's not, you know, love like I love my wife or my kids, but I do love people. And I found, you know, I had to end a relationship or pause a relationship recently, and I still love that person. I don't like their choices, but I still love that person. You know.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So Kim, where do you see yourself in 3 years and then in 10 years?
In 3 years, I would like to just keep growing my community, like followers on whatever you can follow me on, whatever platform it is, so that we can engage. Like I'm sharing my growth so that for the potential of you to grow too, and the number of people who are commenting on whatever it is that I'm sharing right now is helping me, and I hope it's helping them. Like that's kind of that is definitely part of the purpose, but I just want to keep expanding that community, and I want to keep growing. It's uncomfortable for me to say this, but I do want to be an influence. Like that seems like ego driven, or you know, I'm going through my own stuff about that, but the truth is that I do want to influence and inspire people, and by the way that I'm living. Right. And I get, whenever I get feedback that's the impact I'm having on whoever is giving me a message or a comment. Like, you know, affirmation's bad too. Like you're not supposed to rely on other people affirming you, but I don't think like most things, I don't think it's all. It's feedback. Right. And that feedback is telling me that what I'm doing is helping people, and that's enough for me. So how would listeners, viewers follow you, find you, learn more about you? I am on Instagram, Facebook, and soon to be YouTube and our website. So it's Kymology is the name of my business, Kymology, and Facebook and Instagram are probably the best places right now. So what are the means that you're putting out content? I know you're writing. I'm getting more comfortable with video. So basically visual with writing, and my writing is long and verbose because I'm long-winded and verbose and a thinker. So, so it's mostly through writing. Awesome. Kim, thanks for joining us today. This was awesome. Listeners, viewers, I hope you enjoyed Kymology. Kim Grove, Muse and Adventure Seeker, episode 178 of Frederick Advice Givers, as much as I did, and we are out. Thank you.